Hey, it's Andrew here at Vespa Portland, and we're doing a video today that we have had quite a few requests on. It's actually how to wash your scooter. So to start, I've got one of the pages out of the owner's manual here on my phone, and Vespa's official written advice on washing your scooter is this. To soften the dirt and the mud on the varnished surfaces, use a low-pressure water jet. Once they become soft, the mud and dirt must be removed with a soft sponge soaked in plenty of water and shampoo, 2 to 4% shampoo and water. We're going to use car washing soap, not shampoo today. Subsequently, rinse with plenty of water and dry with a lint-free leather. To avoid oxidation, wash the vehicle each time it is used in areas with or especially in the following conditions: environmental, seasonal conditions, use of de-icing, salt, chemical products on roads during the winter; atmospheric pollution, city and/or industrial areas; and atmospheric salinity and humidity, marine areas, warm and humid climates, like any coast city. All right, so we're gonna get to it. The scooter we're using today is Ben Hankst's bike. Ben is a good friend of ours. You can follow him on Instagram at notbenh. Ben goes on a lot of rides. I think this scooter he got only like a couple years back, and it's already up to nearly 12,000 miles. Ben is the first to admit that he doesn't really wash his scooter. There's a heart in here. There's a smiley face in here. So we're gonna hit this thing up. His bike was in for a little bit of a service and adding some LED turn signals to the bike and a fancy LED taillight. If you are interested in those kind of things, you can email parts@vespaportland.com and we can get you set up. But we're gonna clean this thing up for him before he picks it up. Let's get to it. All right, so here in the back of the shop, we've got a little hose set up, and this is where we wash the bikes after services. We don't wash every scooter. Sometimes, sort of strangely enough, people wear a dirty vehicle as kind of a badge of honor. Okay, but the scooters that people seem to be spending some time on, we tend to give them a little wash before they leave, just so everything looks tip-top when they're heading out of here. So just take it easy when you're doing your wash. You don't need to, spray the heck out of this thing like you're putting out a fire on a 20-story building. If you've got a pressure washer at home, use the nozzle that's the least direct. I think most of them kind of have like a wash feature or a wash nozzle that they come with. All you're really doing here, as the manual states, is softening up the dirt and mud on the bike. On these outside body panels, you can kind of go a little more directed stream. What you really want to avoid is just kind of blasting water into the crevices. So obviously your Vespa, unlike a motorcycle, the internals of it are kind of hidden underneath the metal body and some of the plastic panels here, like the handlebar covers. So you want to take it easy when you are hitting those switches, because some of that wiring is exposed just beneath the surface there. So these switches are what I'm talking about. You want to, not just blast water directly into them. There's not going to be typically too much grime buildup on there anyway, but just kind of, easily run through that and call it good. Also be careful not to, blast it right into your keys here or too hard into your glove box. You might have some papers behind there and the water will get in and soak those. You could also take that stuff out before you wash it, of course. You can clean up the plate quite a bit. This little tassel. Hitting the rim quite a bit. We're going to obviously hit that with a brush. For the most part, I would say that, as the manual suggests, the mud and dirt is sufficiently softened up. So what we're using for our car wash soap is just kind of a general O'Reilly's soap. Not very abrasive. It just says to use 1 to 2 ounces per gallon of water. It's a 5-gallon bucket right here. 5 ounces, huh? See how much of a bartender I am. Good enough. All right, I got a 5-gallon bucket full of warmish hot water. And next up, time to wipe down the scooter with my brand new sponge. You're welcome, Ben. One thing I'll say is you should definitely wash the more sensitive parts of your scooter, the painted surfaces that are away from the ground, before you get into the floorboards, where chances are there's going to be little rocks and pieces of dirt, maybe more abrasive things, and any kind of undercarriage washing underneath the front fender under here, under the or above the fender, below the leg shield, a lot of grime is going to collect there that just simply won't be back on the cowls. Do yourself a favor, don't scratch up the scooter by hitting those parts first and then rubbing all that grime over the sensitive bits. As you can see, the sponge is still quite clean. So, you know, we're definitely hitting the parts that are less grimy. Make sure to get the seat as well. All right, looking way better already. Of course, you got to clean up our little advertisement. So I think I'm going to give it a little quick rinse, see if I missed any spots. All right, for the wheels, we're just using kind of a standard auto wheel brush. Any auto parts store is going to have this. Same deal, just use the soap and hit those rims. It's going to be a little harder on the Vespa to use the wheel brush just because the wheel is smaller and there's more crevices than there would be on a normal car. So you may have to come back through this with another sponge once, you know, kind of the bigger chunks are loosened up, just to kind of get between all of this, because I'm kind of just gliding right over it. It's kind of the difference of brushing your teeth only versus also adding flossing into the mix. All right, got this other kind of wheel brush I actually forgot we had. I was just going to use an old sponge, but this is a little more for getting in between crevices. Mostly what you're going to have on here is dirt, mud. I used to live down a dirt alley, and I could never keep my scooter clean, so I kind of gave up on trying, honestly. I need to get back in the habit of doing that now that I don't live down that alley. But also on here, you're going to have a bunch of brake dust, which is just kind of inevitable. You need to stop, so that dust is going to accumulate. You can get in there and kind of clean up some of those brake components. It's also a good idea to kind of take a look at things and, you know, is any kind of a cable frayed or what's going on down here, you know? You get to kind of check in with your scooter when you wash it and see if there's anything you didn't notice. Because, you know, you're supposed to kind of do a trip check before you jump on the freeway and go ride a long way, but very few people actually do. So take this time to kind of see what your scooter has going on. And you can be as picky about this as you want. You know, some people are going to get every little bit of grime out of there. I am not the most picky vehicle washer on the planet. I want to ride my scooters, not really spend all my time polishing them. But, you know, if you keep these things relatively clean, keep the dirt off the paint, obviously it's going to be better for it long term. It's going to look nicer. And if you have a garage to store it in instead of outside, even nicer still. But if you're storing on the street, you know, it's nice to get a little wash every now and then and kind of help it combat the elements that are always going to be working their way into your vehicle. A lot of brake dust on the back here and other road grime. So the cool thing about the back wheel is that on the center stand it's free, so a little easier to get to all of it and a little faster process than the front wheel where you saw me manually moving it around. Coming back around, I can see the spots I missed. But on this next pass, it's all starting to look quite a bit cleaner, so I'm going to focus on some of this area. Now some of this grime is going to be really caked on, and once you've got 12,000 miles on a scooter, there's definitely going to be a level of grime that's built up on it if you haven't done this regularly that will come off, but depends on your preference and how much time you want to spend scrubbing. I know Ben is not super worried about this. Ben, I know you're watching this. You're probably saying, all right, man, enough. It's good enough. Just turn the wheel as I'm going here. Make sure it's all cleaned up. The heat shield here over the exhaust isn't very bad, so I'm just going to hit it with the normal sponge. And lastly, underneath the leg shield here above the fender, another place where a lot of grime collects. But since it is a painted surface, I don't really want to use that wheel brush on it. I'm going to use an older sponge right here. So this is a tough place, especially if you have larger hands. To get under here, you're just going to have to move the wheel as much as you can to give yourself some room. And you may then still not even get it all. If you've got a lift at your house or a way to elevate your bike in some other way and get underneath it, you can really clean some of this out. Ben's is surprisingly clean. Mine, on my scooter, had way more caked on mud from that alley I was telling you about earlier. Okay, we're coming to the end here. I think I'm just gonna give it another spray real quick and start the drying process. Just a final rinse off. Again, don't go too crazy. Don't blast into crevices. Don't hit the switches too hard here. Just kind of washing things off. You don't need to force a bunch of water into the body panels, back into the wiring, that sort of thing. Just want to go easy. Oh, looks like there's a place I missed actually. The floorboard, which is a painted surface, but in this case I'm going to use that older rag just because there's usually a lot of grime down here from your shoes. All right, at this point, scooter's pretty clean. I'm pretty happy with it. If you're at home and you have microfiber towel, chamois, kind of lint-free, non-abrasive drying towels of some sort, you can start in on that. Start at the top. If you don't start wiping down here and then wiping up here, because you'll just have water go back on what you just did. Start at the top and work your way down. And again, I'd say stay on the nice painted surfaces first, and then kind of work your way down to the more grimy bits, the wheels, the underneath the scooter, the floorboards, that sort of thing, and some of the transmission case and all that. Here at our shop, we tend to use air. We have an air compressor, and we just blow the stuff off. Find it to be pretty fast. Again, same deal if you're doing it at home that way with an air compressor nozzle. Just gonna wanna go from the top down so you don't waste your time and spray a bunch of water over what you already dried. Air compressors can be a little loud. You might want to wear hearing protection of some sort. This is the attachment we're using. We like to use one with a rubber nozzle here in case we do nick the body. We don't risk scratching it. This is maybe 12 bucks on Amazon, something like that. Easy to get. All right, here we are. Scooter's done. Ben's inside picking it up. Just wash your scooter, watch out for the internals, watch out for the switches. Don't go too hard on that with the hose. Dry the thing off, make it look nice. Take a look at your scooter while you're there, see if there's any damage, anything that looks out of the ordinary. You keep your scooter nice, it'll treat you right for many years to come. This is Andrew at Vespa Portland. Thanks for watching.